I am your host, Al Roundtree, aka Mr. Social Baby, aka Tree. Man, and for this talk on Tuesday, I have a very, very, very special guest in the building. The one, the only. The one and only Miss Carrie Brown. How you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, Carrie. I'm so glad to have you here. Carrie is the CEO and founder. Yeah. Founder of her own school. You know what? I am so glad that you're here, because you know why? Because over the last few years, you've always put me, right? Mm-hmm. You've always brought me out to the school, the Legacy School, to speak to the kids and be a part of that. I remember when you were applying and trying to get it done and all of that, like you was going through the struggle, and the application went in and something happened, you had to wait so a long time.
It happened 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember that journey, man. And just so just to see you here and knowing that it happened for you, and school has been going well up until obviously what's going on now. But just to know that it's been going well, I really want to applaud you for your efforts, because that's an amazing feat. How does that feel when you finally got that done?
I really compare it to labor. Like, I really do. Like, it's
really?
Yeah, like it's my 3rd child, so it's Legacy, and it's a girl.
Okay. And it's a girl.
It's my other 2 were boys. My real, the flesh and blood.
Yes.
But as far as like having to go through the whole process, like, it just reminds me of like just having a baby. And now we're going into year 3, so the baby's 3 years old.
Okay.
And we have a better understanding of who she is, her identity, where we're going, all that kind of stuff. So I really do, like, when I'm talking to people all the time, I'm like, when you're pregnant with in your belly, it's kind of like, you're just hoping for the best thing to come out, or the best baby to come out, and then when it gets here, you're like, oh my God, stop crying. You're trying to figure it out yourself. So it's always when you birth it, you're like, this is mine. Like,
I got you.
Yeah, so I did this.
But
then it's kind of like, but damn, So it was a constant reminder of. I enjoy it, like, every day. I love it, but I do know that it is. It's a labor of love, like your children, and then you're gonna make do good and do bad along the way. So I'm excited. Like, this year has been very trying. We've learned a lot.
Of course.
And then with when COVID hit, it really was actually good for Legacy, because it allowed me the time to kind of just breathe, right?
Decompress a little bit.
And then like see where our strengths and weaknesses are, and how we can grow as an organization. So it's not bad, right? I can't really complain. Nobody would listen anyway, so it doesn't matter. and I chose it, right? So I chose this route to to open a school.
And it's an awesome school. Tell people about what Legacy is and kind of the whole mission behind the organization or the school.
Okay, so our school focuses on the industry of sport. So we teach kids about the business and science of sport. Knowing that being a player is a big deal to a lot of kids, we also say, hey, look at this industry that surrounds the game. We're 6th through 12th grade campus. Our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are introduced to the industry of sport in a small capacity, but when our kids get into 9th grade, that's when they're full throttle. They declare a degree that they would follow.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have coaching, athletic administration, sports medicine, and sports media.
Okay.
A lot of our students are...
So they're declaring at 9th grade?
Yeah, well, for high school, right?
Right,
so
right,
it's kind of like
I
that.
got you.
Yeah,
what avenue they want to go down.
Exactly. Now, granted, when they get to college, they might not ever go into any of what they might not do anything in sports, but they have the tools that are transferable into another industry, right? So, and that's what we want them to understand. I truly believe that sport there's an equivalent to sport in everything in the world, right? So if you look at tennis shoes, you look at this, just anything, shoes, there's tennis shoes, your watch, they have the Fitbits for medicine, you have sports medicine. For media, you have sports media. So sport is like, it's global, and it could touch you in any capacity at any time in your life, right? So our school opens our eyes to kids, opens kids' eyes to that. Like, we're saying, look at what you're a part of.
Right.
I mean, the industry is huge. You can make your own pathway within it. I mean, you can do what other people are doing, or you could do something different. But the sport industry provides that.
Right. Okay, man, that's amazing. I'm just so excited that you're here again. You know, when you talk about sports, what made you start? Because I mean, you originally from Houston, right? Born, what part of Houston are you
Third
from?
Ward.
Okay. What school did you go to?
J.Y.
See, I go through this every week.
We're proud alumnus. Yes, J.Y.
Yes, always. But you know what? I applaud the J.Y. alumni just because I'm always like amazed at how strong and how spirited you guys are as a community.
Yeah.
And just supporting your school and supporting others from your school. Like y'all take it to another level that I have never seen from a high school perspective. Other than there's some other high schools I've seen in Louisiana. I would say St. Aug High is also strong, but you guys it's just been amazing. And so, you know, I'm always asking people when they come on here, especially from the Houston area, just what high school they went to, because I understand how important that is to the whole this whole ecosystem in Houston. So you went to JY, but you was a hooper, you was a baller.
Yes.
And then you went on to A&M.
Yes.
Right? How long were you there?
Yes, I played basketball for A&M my freshman through senior year, but then I also became one of the assistant coaches.
Okay.
So when I graduated, I was blessed with the opportunity to become a member of the staff.
Okay.
So I was one of the assistants, and I was there for 3 seasons. And then after that, my husband is from Austin, so after his career ended, he went back home, and I went to Austin, and I was the head coach there for Houston Tillerson University for over 10 seasons.
Okay.
And then I decided I want to come home. Right. So I hadn't been home since I was 18 years old. My dad was like, "You packed up, went to college, and never came back." So when I came back, I began working on my doctorate at Texas Southern University, and then I was also just really kind of looking back on it. I've always wanted a school, right? Because I have my kids, right? And I always felt like there were just certain things that that they were missing, and I didn't know what it was that they were missing. My mom's side of my family were all educators, so it was not like I was saying anything was bad about the other schools. Right. It was just something that I felt like I could provide as well.
Right.
So when I was in Austin, actually when I was coaching at A&M, I bought property in Austin to open a daycare facility. Okay. So I forgot about that. Like, people were talking about, "Oh, how'd you get into the school thing?" I've always wanted to do it, right? I guess. So then when I moved back home, I just felt, watching my husband and how he had to grow through his injury, then I learned that there's so much more that we could provide to kids that are interested in sport.
Well, just so people know, your husband is
Reggie Brown.
Reggie Brown, yes. And Reggie is a former NFL player.
Yes.
And so, talk a little bit about Reggie and his experience, and why you brought that up, why you mentioned that. That's what I'm trying to.
So Reggie is the love of my life. Yeah, he's. So I met him when I was at A&M. He was a senior and I was a freshman, and. He was drafted, first round draft pick, number 14. And I remember watching the ticker go across, and I was in my dorm room when he was drafted. I was crying because I was like, "We're going to break up." And so I was a freshman. So I go into my sophomore year. And he was a really good player. Like, but if anything, he was just a really good man, a really good person. And his second year for the Lions, he went in for a routine tackle and he broke his neck on the field. So his life changed like that. Wow. And it was more of just him not knowing what to do next. And when you start looking at how we have crafted the message for kids as dealing with their identity as players, I feel like we should do more for them, right? Or we should talk to them more about what other opportunities are in the sport world. Right. Because Reggie struggled with realizing that he was more than just a football player. And that was, when I say struggle, I mean it was until the school opened. So I'm saying his injury was in 97 and we opened in 2018. It was that long before Reggie was like, I get it, right? Like, I know who I am, I know what I'm about. Right. I mean, we were married, we had kids, I mean, we were fully functioning, but he was still in a area, he was in limbo, right? It was just a gray area for him. And having the school to show him what God's purpose was for him was really more of an eye opener, right?
Wow,
like it's helped our household. I mean,
that's awesome.
Oldest son just went to college. He went to
TU. Go ahead, you gonna bring it up now. I was gonna bring it up. I was waiting. I was over here holding myself like I can't wait to say that.
I know, and it's awesome because yes, he's at Tulane University, but the cool thing is to see him now be really connected with his father, right? It was the last 2 years have been a beautiful thing, and that's because the school has opened, right? But it also allowed Reggie, our oldest child, to evolve, and it was because of legacy and because of his dad that has happened. So
wow, that's awesome.
It's kind of cool.
That's awesome, man. That is, that's an amazing story. So, in your journey to, people, a lot of times we talk about people seeing your success and how they like what they see in terms of where you are now, but they don't understand, like we talked about, you went through 5 different episodes of dealing with the application being denied or whatever it was about that. So talk a little bit about that. What were some of the challenges that you faced, and then how did you keep going? How did you keep, you persevere through all of those difficult moments and to finally get the school open?
I always go back to the fact that it just wasn't my time, right? So I know that God had his hand in this whole journey, and every time that I went in with the state, in my mind, this application was going to be the best every time I went in, right? So, and the application for a charter is between 350 to 400 pages. So that whole year, each year, I was, focusing in and making sure that I had everything that I wanted the school to look like on paper. And for whatever reasons, whenever I would go to the state with it, we were denied, right? So, and normally our principal likes to call me crazy. It's pretty funny because he's like, it took me 2,555 days to get a school. Normally people would quit, but I just felt like it was something that needed to get done, right? And I think that, waking up every morning, seeing my husband, seeing my 2 sons, it always validated it, right? Like, no, we need a school like this that focuses on the end of your sport, that teaches kids more than just being a player.
Right.
So that was my driving force. I mean, I knew, now I can look back and be like, it's all God. God knew, it was perfect timing. Where we have our property, it all makes sense. Like, all these things fell in place. At the time, no, I was mad, but I think a lot of it had to do with me being a player, right? From an athlete standpoint, you lose games, right? So it's how you respond when you wake up the next day. What are your is it really your thought process and how you how you see yourself. And I wasn't going to let this fail just because I look at it as like, who is someone to tell me that this couldn't happen?
Right.
So it was more of me just being like, no, that's not going to happen. But I knew it was God with this hand in my back saying, just move forward, trust me, and I can get you there. So it was a lot of spiritual moments that I had to have with myself of talking of like, is it worth it, or is this? Yeah, and I remember one time my cousin had said, she was like, well, Carrie, maybe God doesn't want you to have it now because it's supposed to be so much bigger than what you think. Because I was initially trying to do it at churches or, rent out little small facilities.
Right.
And she was right? So it was, and that was my second time going in. And I remember just being defeated. I was like, dang, because that application was really good. Right? Like, I was impressed with myself. I was like, I did that, right? So, but now looking back on what she said, like, that was very pivotal for me to really be able to say, yeah, like, maybe I shouldn't underestimate where this could go, right? So maybe I don't need to be in a small setting. Maybe I do. I mean, because we have 18 acres. So we're sitting on 18 acres. I mean, we're still building out our facility. So there's a lot that's still left to be done. But I wouldn't have been in that position if I would have guided the time that I initially wanted.
Right.
So.
Right. Man, that is awesome. And you're right. In persevering, like, as an athlete, I guess sports does teach you, one of the lessons sports teach you out of the many is definitely persevering, overcoming adversity and challenges, and being able to, like you said, submit an application and it being declined for whatever reason, but not giving up. And actually, another thing about that to me is also about how you perceive that particular situation. It was a learning lesson. So, you know, like you talk about God pushing you, but you in addition to that, you were learning along the way.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You were getting all those lessons from every time your application failed or what have you along the way to make your application better and better until you got to the point where it was accepted. And then maybe the school had done evolved, as, like you said, from the size or the idea in terms of where you would be and the land size and the size of the school. So, you know, that's an awesome thing to see. I think a lot of people we don't even realize that you're getting through the different challenges that you face, you know, in life, and whether it's starting school or starting a business or whatever, you know, people are going, you know, face those adversities. And I mean, what would you tell people, like right now, especially kind of given what's going on right now, people who may have thoughts of ideas of starting maybe a school or a business, organization or what have you, what would be some of the things that you would share with those people right now, given the state that we're in?
As I think it's very cliche, get your thoughts down on paper. Like that's number one. I really did, like this sounds like a TV show, I really did write on a napkin. But I did because it was, I think I thought I knew what I wanted, but when I was telling people what it was, it would get kind of scrambled. Right? And I remember I was talking to someone from a grant in New York. And he said it back to me the same way the way I wanted it to be said, right? He was like, okay, so y'all are about academics, athletics, and professions. And I was like, yeah, that was totally it. But it took me like 3 years, I think it was 2 or 3 years afterwards.
To get there?
To get to that point. So like putting that down on paper, like from there, it just started making sense to me, right? So that, and then just not giving up on, well, granted, you have to have a very strong group of people around you, right? So from my parents to Big Reggie to my friends, like I really had people that didn't knock the idea, right? Because there's not another school like it. IMG is similar, but they're on human performance. Right. We're on the industry of sport. Yeah. And something in Texas, you know, dealing with sport, it could always be like, you trying to do this, you trying to do that, and they always have, you always have naysayers, right? But getting caught up in that would make a big problem for your objective, right? So just staying true to your course and allowing your purpose to drive you, right? Not anybody else's, because when you do that, you often lose what you're about or why you initially got into it. Like I'm so blessed to have the team that we have. So our staff is amazing because they get it, right? Like you could easily come into Legacy and be like, well, why don't y'all have this and why don't y'all have that? Because that's not what we're about. And our team gets that, right? Like I don't have to go speak for Legacy anymore, right? Which, I mean, I love doing it, but they can go do it. Which that's when it's real, right? When you have people, you have a team of people that are around you that was them, right? So they were that kid that would have gone there.
They're completely bought in to the whole concept.
Yes. So when you have that, then naturally what ends up happening is that it just kind of just trickles down to the kids, right? So like from our first year to now, we were doing some interviews. We do interviews to get into the campus, and one of our students was in on one of the interviews, and it was so funny because she was like, I don't know if they're going to make the cut, right? Like this is a student.
Really?
Yeah, and it's more of them really understanding what we're about. Right? I love when our kids are saying that Legacy teaches us responsibilities, it gives us opportunities, and it puts us in a position to function as a young adult. Right. Well, that's how we talk. Right, so for the kids to say it, I'm like, wow. Yeah. So, and it was, I mean, the young lady she kind of blew me away when she said that. She was like, Miss Carey, I don't think. I was like, but it opened our eyes to the fact that that we're going in the right direction. So yeah, putting it on paper and making sure that you have the right group of people and having a supporting team around you, it's big, and then support one another. Right? I mean, because especially the day and age that we're in right now, I mean, everybody needs to have a hand and what we're doing so we could be successful. So.
Absolutely, man. That's all right there. That student was a true testament of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it was. I was like, okay. Because normally, kids just kind of just sit there and they're just going through the motions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but she came out, I was like, yeah, right.
That's good.
I didn't think it was going to make it either.
That's good. That's good. Now, help people understand, what the school is about. And like, you talk about the business of sport so that everybody, because you're right, there's nothing out there like it at all from the perspective of what you guys teach and the mission of the school. And for those who may think, IMG is like it, no, IMG is more about, to me, on the performance side. So IMG, one, they go and recruit the type of kids from around the country to come and live there at the campus, and they're treated as almost if you in college and high school, basically. And their teams are stacked with blue chip players and all of that kind of stuff. And then they go out and lose just like everybody else, which is funny to me. But anyway. But you guys, your mission is not that. You're about, like you said, the business of sports. So everything kind of around the performance side of it, right?
Yeah. And so don't get me wrong. So 97% of our students are athletes, right? So and that's we have a target audience. So that's what's cool because now, granted, to give you the flip side of it, we have a type A personality campus, right? Okay. Everybody wants to win, right? It don't matter. I'm talking about adults and all, because 20 of our 26 teachers are former collegiate or professional athletes. Okay. So they want to win too. Like so the principal and I, we compete in everything for no reason. Right? Like I'm like, stop. Like I tell myself, I'm like, Carrie, no, you okay. You don't have to compete with it, right? So, but wait, what was your question? Because I just lost it. I'll find out.
But you know what? This is real life with you. Like this is you.
Yes, it is. Yes. I'm okay with that.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. That's why I love it. So it's all good. It's all good. But what I was asking was to let people know, like, what is, when you say the sport of business, what does that mean for the students, and what does that mean for like the curriculum in the school?
Okay, so our curriculum is very similar to, first off, our curriculum, and I like to explain this to people because like we've had parents have asked, well, what's your curriculum? The state mandates what your curriculum is, right? So you have high stake TEKS, you have regular TEKS, you have your TEKS that you have to follow, right? So that's not going to change if you are a state funded school, right? Which we are. So we're an accredited charter school from the state. So that's not going to change. It's our instruction. So our instruction is we teach through the lens of sport. We honor sport, right? So, and that's a lot of times what happens is when, especially like with us growing up, people are like, well, you're not going to make it, or you don't go give me, and it's not in a bad way. They're just seeing it as the numbers, right? So the numbers it was only 2% of the kids that made it, right? So they want us, in their mind, they're being helpful because I'm being realistic. Right. Well, in our mind, on our campus, we're like, nah, we honor that. Ride that mug out to as long as you can. Absolutely. But also realize that there's all these other things that surround it. So when you stop playing, you can transition out. So our curriculum, so I can give you different projects that our kids have done on campus. Like one of our she's social studies. One of our social studies teachers, she actually was the one that told me about the show. She did a project last year where they created their own league, right? So, and this is in social studies, right? So she was able to draw social studies in, but made them make their own their athletic league, right? So, and then we had a project this year where our kids made their own stadium, right? And this was in our tech app class. It was like a business middle school class. Okay. My class, so I taught 10th grade English the first year, and then last year I taught our seniors. But my sophomores, we did a podcast. It was sports media. They had to make their own show. I mean, they were writing. They didn't know how much they were writing. It was so funny. I was like, so we kind of disguised. Jedi mind. Yeah, I know, but we disguised it. Our kids are. They
realized what they were doing.
Exactly. So they're going through the whole essay and not realizing that they're going, and then they had to do a run of shows, so it's like we made it as an outline, and then but it's like, okay, so now take that same information and put it on paper, and now you've written a piece, right? So we really kind of focus on stuff like that. Our sports medicine program, is amazing. We have a partnership with Texas Children's Hospital, and the lead of that program has done so much for our kids and introduced them and provided them with just all these different opportunities to prepare for transitioning out, going to a university where now I'm going into whatever, if it's biology, and then like with a minor in sports med, you know, they're ready for it. So our curriculum is built around we take what the state has provided for us and we tweak it, and again, it's an equivalent, there's a sport equivalent to everything.
I got you.
We make it the sport world,
right?
And that's how we operate. And I think our kids, the ones that get it, love it, right? Because it's not for everybody. And I like to tell people that all the time. Like, I wouldn't go to DeBakey, right? I'm not. I mean, because I'm not in the medical world. I wouldn't go to high school performing visual arts. Well, I think I could try, but I mean, but I would be like, they would kill me. I mean, people singing and dancing like that's.
Right.
I could try. I can go for a week.
Right.
But as far as like really going there every day,
that ain't your lane.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like,
absolutely.
So we tell people that when they're coming in, this is who we are. We're not going to change our identity.
Yeah.
We want you to go somewhere from a kid standpoint where you would be successful. And if legacy's not it, then we'll help you find another place.
So, you know, what's cool about what you said, it sounds like, you know, from what you're explaining, you guys basically you put a practicality via sports. So you make it practical. The lessons are, you know, you using lessons that they need, but you're making them practical, applying sport to it, and which is something that definitely they resonate with. One, because like you said, they're all athletes or aspiring to be athletes. And I think, you know, what you're teaching also in terms of sports is very important, because, you know, that's not what you get taught in school typically. It's not. That's not the thing that you hear in school, learning the different elements or putting together maybe a podcast or like you said, putting together a league or a stadium and applying it in a way where they're getting this lesson that they need to get from social studies in it. You know, I think that's a very unique and very creative idea, and there'll probably be a lot more schools to come, you know, based on you guys.
I mean, it's not anything it's kind of like, you know, you have those things where people were like, dang, we should do that a long time ago. Right. That's how the school is to me, right? That's how I view it. Is like, it should have already been done, because, but you have to have, with anything, you have to have the right people in place.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that was, with my delay on opening, God did that too, right? I mean, the principal that we have is very progressive. I mean, he's amazing. Like, he's like the boy version of me. And so he's amazing.
Who's your principal?
Ralph Butler. Ralph Butler.
Ralph Butler. Yeah. Okay, shout out to Ralph.
Yeah,
How you doing, Ralph?
Yeah.
All right.
And then, so then well, he's actually our chief academic officer, so he has a new position on campus. Our chief operating officer, her name is Danielle Canada, and she's the glue of our campus. She gets it. She's a dual athlete. She went to A&M as well, and she just gets what we're about. She's coming from the NCAA realm, so she knows, like, because where our kids are trying to go. We had our first graduating class was 41 kids, and 26 out of those 41 received some type of scholarship going to universities. Yeah, so that was a big deal for our first year. Absolutely. Right? And then, like, my son, he went to Tulane. We had another guy that went to St. Thomas. I understand. That's how we all there do. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes I'm like the only one. And I'm like, nobody else want to say it? Nobody? No, I really am like, woo! Yeah, absolutely. But, so it was all in God's timing, right? To have, because it took me a lot to get Danielle and Ralph, right? I mean, it was a lot of courting. And they were kind of like, oh, yeah. I mean, like everybody else, right? If it's not real, then it's not real, right? Absolutely. And then all of a sudden, when you see walls go up, you're like, oh, okay. Right? So it was all in God's plan.
Cool. So where's the school located now?
We are in Spring, Texas. So 2727 Spring Creek Drive, Spring, Texas, and right by, not far from, what's the place called? Splashtown. Okay, all right. And then, but kids from everywhere could come, because I remember that was one of the big things that I know you and I had talked about before. Yeah. So how does that work? Well, see, we have an outside group that does transportation, and they come in, and I mean, the kids ride it, and they get to campus. So it's more of transportation, just having an outside organization that does. Okay. But we do, and I want to tell you about it. So when you come back, we do have an online program that we're launching for this school year. Okay. So that's something that for kids that are interested in our school curriculum, they can fall under that online. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep on. You know, we're gonna get back into it now, because it's good to hear this, and I'm so glad that you're on, and we'll talk a lot more about it right after our break, guys. We'll be right back. You listen to The Cutting Edge right here on the Edge Radio Network.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
We work our whole lives.
Edge Radio Network, where we have conscious conversation.
Edge is about love, relationships, and healing.
Edge Radio is for everyone and about everyone.
Edge is about working together.
Edge Radio is about recreating a beautiful body.
Edge is about community, synergy, and empowerment.
Edge is about being kind, compassionate, and loving to all.
And Edge Radio is about beauty and fashion.
各位观众 ，Edge Radio 是大家最好听的一个电台，不要忘记听哦。Yeah, I love Edge Radio. You can hear all about the topic and join us soon.
Edge is about being on the edge and not jumping. Yes.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters. Been feeling a little edgy lately? Listen to Edge Radio. That'll push you over the top. 1540 AM and 101.7 FM.
All right, thank you guys, and welcome back to our Talk on Tuesdays. Yes, Talk on Tuesdays with my lovely guest host, Miss Carrie Brown of the Legacy School. So glad to have you here, Carrie. Kind of going back into what we were talking about right before the break. you were talking about a program that you guys have. What is the program and it's for your online courses, right?
Yes. Yeah, so it's called Total, and it's Titans Online Teaching and Learning.
Okay.
And really what we're doing is that we're opening up our curriculum to those that can't make it to our campus, right? Especially right now with COVID, and kids, our families just not sure if this is if they want to go back to the brick and mortar. We have our programming that's available for families. So you would just enroll as a legacy student, but you would have the our ability to be able to watch our lessons online, use our online platform, and then you could also come to our campus for any of our extracurricular activities. So from playing sports to being a part of our sports medicine, sports media, coaching, or athletic administration class.
Okay, because just like I guess like everybody else, you guys have had to make an adjustment given the COVID situation. So, what was that experience like for you and your school when COVID came out? I guess one day y'all were going to classes, and the next day, I mean, what was that whole thing like in that transition?
So to give you our story, it's kind of funny because it's not funny. It's just it makes total sense. It's like a legacy story. It was our senior trip, and we were on a cruise. Right? So it was like 22 of us that.
Oh wow!
Like I'm a senior. I was one of the chaperones. So it was 22 of us that went on a cruise. We left on the 6th. And we came back on the 13th, I believe, and we were coming back. That Monday was going to be the start of school, right? So we were out for a week. And those dates could be wrong, but it's somewhere along those lines. And when we were on the cruise, like, every once in a while you check to see if you have, if you would connect, you can connect, and get the internet, right?
Absolutely.
So our kids, the seniors, were like, Miss Carey, I think there's something going on. Like, I mean, we knew about COVID a little bit, but it wasn't as real at that time, right? So then all of a sudden we're getting this information that, that schools are closing, that they're shutting down cities and state, I mean, just a whole bunch of stuff.
All while you're on the cruise.
Yeah, we're like, well, what happened, right? So we're good, right? So when we get back, that's when we have to declare that we're not going to go back to school, right? And which was I guess it was kind of cool for our seniors to have their last days on a cruise, right?
Right. I guess that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, right? Yeah. So they were able to enjoy it, and they did. But I mean, for us, we were already working from an online platform.
Okay.
Which was really cool because, again, our focus is to really teach kids. One of the things that we focus a lot on our campus is, to be a college student, right? We want people to judge us by the kid being 25, 30 years old, not 14, 15 years old, right? I mean, you can be the best 14-year-old in the world, but you're only going to be that one time, right? So then when you grow up, it's like, what's next? So we try to prepare our kids for being an adult.
Okay.
And we had them using on the online platform. Some of our parents, it was funny because some of our parents initially weren't on board with it because they were like, well, what is the teacher doing and why isn't the teacher teaching the information? But then when COVID hit, we rolled out that next Monday, right? So our kids knew exactly what to do. Lessons were in place. We had a Zoom calls for each one of our teachers, so we didn't have any hiccups. Only thing that was different is that we weren't in the building, right? So then our parents were like, yeah, well, my school's doing this and this. I was like, well, you just, ma'am, right? So
you know what you said last week?
I know, right? So it was actually cool that we were able to transition out, and then plus we're smaller, right? So compared to other schools, they have to manage like 3,200 kids, where we had 400.
Right.
So we learned a lot from it but we was already in place. It just kind of sped it up, right, and made it really work. Where this is who we are. Like, so my son, he actually started class yesterday. They were doing the same thing. They're all online, and granted, they were doing that before COVID, right? So that was what we wanted to have happen. We really want to mirror a university setting. We want our kids to transition from our campus, and it's not going to be seamless, but it's where they've experienced it, right? So it worked out for us. I mean, granted, it sucks because we don't have the kids in the building right now, but as I was saying earlier, it gave us a chance to really kind of slow down and say, okay, all right, who is legacy? Right. So I'm taking this baby and I'm like, can really talk to it now, as opposed to just being like, oh, so that was.
That's cool. So you mentioned little Reggie starting classes. Yeah. So how does that feel?
It was weird, like, because I sent out a post. I posted something about, I have a freshman in college and he's having fun without me, and my friends were like, "Are you okay?" And so the weirdest thing for me was that, I've always felt like I've been he's my friend, like him, my friend, but I have a good relationship with both my boys. But with Reggie, he's your first child. So as your first child, he's helping. Y'all are all growing together, right? He's learned about life. I'm learning how to be a parent.
Right. So
then to watch him, to drop him off, and he was like, "All right then," and I was like, "Love," right? Like, I didn't know what to do. So I was nervous, but what was kind of eye-opening to me was that I was nervous until I came back to school, and that was like, I think we got back. I had an interview for an incoming student on a Tuesday, and I was talking to that student and to their family, and I was telling them what we do at Legacy, and it was weird because it kind of like it came over me that little Reggie is gonna be okay, right? Because all the stuff that we were teaching him there, teaching on our campus, it was gonna transition off. Because number one, I was seeing it, but then I saw where he was all right, and that I felt like the school had a lot to do with that,
right?
Because he was ready to make those next steps. He had prepared us. I mean, we had prepared him,
right?
So it was funny because one of his friends actually texted me today, and he went to Legacy, and he's at Abilene Christian. Playing football too, and he was like, "Miss Carey, thank you." He said, "Legacy really taught me how to manage my time." And I was like, "Oh, like, I mean, those are the things that, like, we're going in the right direction," because that really set me at ease. Like, okay, he's gonna make good decisions for himself, because we've allowed them to make mistakes, right? Like, it's okay to try to figure that out. Okay, that didn't work. You see, it didn't work, right? So now it's like, all right, let's work through it again. So, like, our campus in total is full of grace, and I think that's a lot of times when you're in a university setting. In the university setting, you'll see that, especially as a student athlete, right? You'll see where you can learn, you could grow, and that's what we want our kids to do. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, that's awesome, man. Especially because those traits are, a lot of kids aren't getting until you get to college, and then it's too late.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're behind.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And you don't know how to manage yourself, and you don't know.
Absolutely.
Like, I know when I went to college, and I love. It was my high school year. I guess it was great because I don't remember a lot of it, but I know that when I left from here going to college, I was wide open. My eyes were like, because I didn't, and I have a great family, a great support system, but it was where I was kind of like, whoa, I hadn't seen that before, because I wasn't put in that position to see it. Right. And all of my family was educated. They all went to university settings, but they're 20 years older than me, or 30 years older than me, so it's going to look different. So that was a lot of our driving force too, but now I get to see on a day-to-day, or listen to my son on a day-to-day, and I'm like, okay, we were doing right? I mean, we're on the right path, because my child's over there, and he's acting like he's good, right?
So what is, given what's been going on, with your child, especially him going off to college, the climate of what, the country's in, this cultural crisis, I will say, as a Tulane alum, he's going to New Orleans, a predominantly black city. But the school isn't, right? It's definitely predominantly white school. What are the conversations, or what conversations did you have with your son in this transition, just kind of given what's been going on over the past few weeks with this cultural crisis that the country's in?
That was a part of my fears as well, right? So when we dropped him off, and we're close, right? And I'm close, like, we have the Kool-Aid house. So I talk to him and all his friends, boys, girls, whoever come to the house. And for me, it's just, number one, the objective for you every day is to come home, right? So like I said, I don't care if y'all get arrested, I'll come get you, right? I just want to make sure that you put yourself in a position where you could get out of it, right? I always want them to be aware of their surroundings, make good decisions for themselves. That's one of the biggest things that I always say. Just everybody, and that's everybody, to adults, kids. I'm always like, make good decisions, right? Because you make good decisions, then things should fall in place. But the way the world is now, that doesn't always happen, right? So,
even making good decisions doesn't always work.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just being aware. Like it brings chills to me because it's because you just don't know, right? As a mother, that's the worst conversation. Like we would put, or anybody would put so much into their child, and then their lives to be changed by one person, right? Or one, or one incident, right? That's not fair. That one incident would dictate, their life. Would change the I can't think of the word, but the trajectory of their life. Like that's not fair. I mean, so. It's just them just being aware and knowing what's going on around them, choosing their friends wisely, making sure that whoever they are associating themselves with, they're like-minded. So it's just, I mean, we talk about it a lot just because it's real, right? I find myself, I went to A&M, so I have all different types of friends, so white, black, Hispanic, and I address our current state as knowing that everyone has a role in it being successful or unsuccessful, right? If the movement is real and what direction we're going with the movement, everyone plays a part. Right. And for Legacy, or for myself, or for my husband, we know that we are educators, right? We're influencers in the educational realm. So we have to really keep our kids abreast and address issues that other people might not take on, right? And it's because we know the end result, right? It could be positive or it could be negative, but positive is like my son going to a predominantly white institution in a black city, having to thrive, right? How do you being a football player, you have all these things that are on you. How are you going to function? So we have to have those conversations and not be afraid of it, right? And not feel like you're ruffling people's feathers or making people feel uncomfortable. It is like, it's very cliche. People say it a lot. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Because that's where the growth lies, right? So, I mean, I'm all about supporting black-owned organizations, but what I tell people all the time is what you should support are your black and brown school systems, right? So are those educators that are in front of your kids, make sure you're supporting them because they're in front of your kid every day. Right. You go to the store once a week. Right. Right. But you have a kid, you have that adult that's there in front of your child every day. So make sure you're pouring into them because they're the ones that are going to impact, or that school or that program is the one that's going to impact the world that we live in.
So what, that's also important, but I wonder, like, what was Reggie's thoughts on what he was seeing and, the protests, just as a young man going to college? Like, what was his response to those conversations? Like, how did he, what was the feedback that you were getting?
So I really did. It's funny because I didn't know how much little Reggie listened to us until this year, really, right? Because since Legacy, because we've had a chance to really he's with me all day, right? So between classes, they'll come in the back. The school's not that big, right? Right? So they'll walk down the hallway and they come back. And then where the high school, my seniors actually use my office as their lounge. I don't know how we got to that point, but what was cool is that I was able to hear their conversations. So obviously what's currently going on was after school was out. But I got a chance to hear them talk just about current events, situations that were going on, and realized that they were okay, right, with their conversations, right? So what they were saying and how they were observing the world that they live in, they know that they do have to take extra precautions and always put themselves in a light where it's okay to not have to, knowing that you're going to run into authority sometimes, and how you manage that, right? So I think a lot of that was because of how we talked to them and the fact that we were open with it, right? I mean, because I don't want you to ever go in not liking somebody because of their color, but I do want you to go in any place being aware of where you are and who's in the room, right? So, I mean, so those are just real upfront conversations that we had. I mean, I would have it if it was a young white girl in the classroom or in the office, or if there was all young black boys, right? So it's just more of just being frank and knowing that it's for the betterment of the bigger cause, not just for one individual.
I got you, man. That is awesome, and it's such it's crazy. I mean, you should always kind of be aware when you think of what you're saying in terms of that. But it seemed like, you know, obviously given the current state of what's going on, everything is so heightened now. And, you know, for us to have to, you know, as African Americans, really kind of have to really put some emphasis on that now. Just because you're seeing, you know, this is kind of bringing, you know, the worst out of some people at the same time, as well as you seeing the good come out of people too. So I think there's something to be said about that. But for us, it just seems like, you know, as African Americans, being parents and that, we have to just think differently for our little boys and girls, and you know, the steps that they're taking. And I know that I have a son who's going to college as well. He's going to PV. Yeah. And so,
you better say they were proud. They don't play.
Well, listen, okay. I just say I'm just saying that.
You know, they don't play.
But I did not say it in a bad way. Right. I was just saying go to PV.
Well, you need to
I didn't go to PV, so I don't know the.
Okay,
you know, I don't know the tone. Like, I can't give them the TU.
So you know how you talk about Yates? Yeah, that's how PV is.
That's how PV
is. No PV.
No, I know they're in force now. I know PV is in force, so I'm not going to say that. Right,
so they're part of our system. So they're part of the A&M system. So we have to take that. That's our little brother, or whatever they want to call themselves. We all relate. We're part of the A&M system.
Okay.
But they have just as much pride or been some as any other school. Like
I know.
Every time you say PV around our counselor, so Helen Wills, she's like, you know, yeah. So you don't play with PV.
Okay, I got it. I got the message. I'm sorry, PV. It was not.
Actually, no. 2 of our students are going, and it was funny because one of them said that she was on a call with them. Right, this is the Zoom call, and she didn't do the call. Like, mind you, there's all these kids that are on the call, and she didn't do the call the way that they wanted her to do the call. So they called her on the phone. They were like, "Are you not proud to go to Prairie View?"
Really?
And she was like, yes. So and then actually, my grandfather was the baseball coach at Prairie View, and the baseball field is named after him. So I'm pretty, I'm a little proud.
Okay, all right. You got some roots over there.
Yeah, just
okay. All right, that's cool. Well, I mean, he proud. I give it to him. He wearing his shirt already.
You better get your colors off.
I see. I'm about to get my life together. I just didn't know. I didn't know the culture, right? You know, so
you got to learn today.
Yes, I see. I'm gonna get on board with that. You know, but it's great to see that, and you know, the kids doing that. Speaking of PV and schools like that, what do you think about, you know, this heightened notion? We was having this conversation yesterday with our guest Brandon Williams, who was talking about how, you know, a lot of the athletes, you know, should probably go to step away from going to some of the major D1 programs and, you know, going in, maybe alluding to what you were talking about earlier, supporting the educational system in that way. But about the athletes, these, you know, major D1, you know, blue chip athletes going to HBCUs. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm saying it because my son went to Tulane, right? And I went to A&M. I'm all about whatever the best fit for the kid, right? So I currently go to Texas Southern, finishing up my doctorate. It's been 10 years. It's nothing to them, it's all me. But I love my experience at TSU, right? I mean, I have very, very knowledgeable professors. But TSU recruited me out of high school. I mean, I'm across the street at Yates, but it wasn't the same way that A&M recruited me, or U of H even recruited me, and Rice recruited me, right? So it was, for me, it was more where was a better fit for me, right? So, I mean, I think that they should open their eyes to any university that is, you know, obviously feels that they're the most important piece to their organization, but then don't ever go anywhere because of the coach would leave. But feel like that when you go there, you walk on that campus, that it's home. Right. So I don't know. I mean, for me, one of the things I hate is when adults get involved, outside adults get involved in kids, you know, life decisions, right? Okay. Other than trying to influence them to the opportunity that's there, not opposed to directing them where they should go.
Right.
So it's more of you figure it out. You go to all the campuses that are recruiting you. If it's unofficial visits, then do that and see when you walk on campus, what you feel, or where you feel at home, and where you feel safe, and where you feel like you could thrive.
All right.
So if they do go, fantastic. If they don't, wherever you go, get what you can from that university, because they're going to get everything out of you.
Right.
So that's how I kind of view it.
I got you, because when he was talking about it, he was talking about a perspective of how much money, these universities make off of, these athletes and stuff like that, and these institutions, as all the schools do, for sports. And so his the thought was like, that's going to change the narrative. Support for a lot of these smaller schools would increase, because now to come see this blue chip player, blah blah blah, their teams, a good caliber team, the schools are going to be making more money, they're going to get more students, blah blah blah. It's just going to kind of snowball for the whole school. And I was telling them how, like, for me coming out, you said like the HBCU where I'm from didn't even recruit me, like, and back then, the schools, HBCUs, didn't recruit a lot of kids that were considered blue chip or whatever, because they just automatically knew that you probably, they assumed that you wouldn't go, but they never even asked me, like, you never even came to me, like, or try to educate me on, and then when I learned about HBCU, I was like, man, this would have been cool to go to, but it was too late. I was already at Tulane at this point. But so I was just wondering, because you hear a lot of different thoughts on that subject right now, and especially just because now there's a big push, seems like more than normal, to really help the black business institutions, organizations, holistically now than it's been in years past, I would say. And so that's why I wanted to.
Well, I'm all for it. I just know I'm all for it, right? But I'm also all for you going. Like when we talk to kids about coming to Legacy, you go to Legacy because you want to go here, because this is a fit for you. Because we're going to have things that are great here, and then we have things that aren't, right? Right. So, or things that they don't have at other schools. Right. So that could be the same thing as going to a TSU, or Prairie View, or a Howard, or any of the HBCUs. You're going there because you fit, because you feel comfortable, because you know that when I walk on the campus, this is where I'm going to grow as a person, right? So it's all like, because at A&M, I didn't necessarily, I grew because I had to grow at A&M. It wasn't because there were like all these people around me that were helping me. It was more of my new family that I gained when I got there, right? So, I mean, it's all, I know the money that goes into it. I know how it would advance a university, but then I also think that you want the kid to go somewhere where they feel best fit. Right. So I would always resort back to that. Right,
which makes sense. I mean, ultimately it's got to be about the kid.
Yeah.
And because it's their lives at the end of the day. So that, I mean, there's definitely some truth in that. So tell the people right now, like, because I know we need to get some more students over there at Legacy, right? Absolutely. So where can they find information on, applying, or what do they need to do? What does that look like?
Okay, so our school website is Legacy CMHS. So that's Cat Mouse House Sam. .org. So legacycmhs.org. You can go on there and apply. Read up on us first. Feel comfortable with us, because when you apply, then you have to go through an application process, and that application process consists of an interview. Okay. Because again, I'm like anywhere else. I don't want you to go anywhere that you don't fit. If you're a triangle and we're a square, then that doesn't make it. So that whole you can do next year we'll have face-to-face, we'll have a hybrid program, and then we'll also have the total program, which is all online. And we really, be honest with you, we're leaning more towards that hybrid and online, just because we know the state of the world, and we're just not certain that coming back is the safest thing possible. So that's where you can find us. So again, that's Legacy CMHS, Cat Mouse House Sam. .org. Yes.
I can't forget that, Legacy CMHS now. I mean, that's easy. I like it. All right, cool. So yes, everybody who's listening, Carrie, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Whatever we talk is always fun and funny. So I'm just glad that we've had the opportunity to catch up and learn some more about Legacy, and wish you and Reggie, Big Reggie, Little Reggie as well, the whole family, must have continued success.
And
Michael as well.
Michael's the middle one, and Legacy's the baby.
Legacy's the baby boy. Hope y'all don't mistreat Michael.
I know, right? The middle child. Happens to the middle child.
Right, exactly. All the time, right? Because Legacy gets spoiled at the end.
I know, right? And he's like, this is not even a real person. It's a building.
Right. Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's truly been a pleasure. Guys, you've been listening to The Cutting Edge right here on Edge Radio Network. I'm your host, Al Roundtree. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad place, guys. We'll be out. Peace.